Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. A proposed legislation to ban use of maps and satellite images of India without the approval of the government has raised lots of concerns, not only within India but also in Pakistan, which has complained to the United Nations. The Geospatial Information Regulation Bill, which the government is to introduce in the Parliament, seeks to regulate the use of mapping and satellite data in order to ensure the country's strategic installation from enemies and terrorists and ensure that its political boundaries are correctly depicted. However, Pakistan has approached the United Nations arguing that the map which India is depicting of Jammu and Kashmir is incorrect and legally untenable, as it shows all of Kashmir as its territory. On the other hand, India has always held that the entire Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, which is what the bill also says. Why is this issue important? And what should India do to counter the Pakistan charges in the United Nations? How will it affect India in any way? What are the legal and diplomatic ramifications of this proposed legislation? We will discuss all this today with G. Parthasarathy, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, S.D. Muni, South Asian analyst and Professor Emeritus at JNU, Vivek Katju, former ambassador, Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation, and on the phone line from Karachi, Pakistan, is Nusrat Amin, a senior journalist. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Parthasarathy, is this an issue which we need to be worried about?
Well, we already have executive orders and I can take executive action against people who bring in maps which we hold depict our borders incorrect. You are now giving this legislative teeth. Now, we will have to see the full text of the act and how it plays out in Parliament before you can really arrive at a judgment. As far as the Pakistani complaint is concerned, I think it's frivolous.
No, we'll come to that. Yeah. But was there a necessity to have these legislative teeth, as you say?
Well, there has been strong views about our maps being depicted incorrectly. There has been a feeling amongst many that the action like the Chinese take against people who do so necessarily should be taken by us. I would say let's wait and see how this plays out and let's see what is the provisions of the legislation.
Mr. Muni?
Well, frankly speaking, I agree with GP that yes, we should wait for the legislation, what exactly it wants to say. But frankly speaking, I cannot understand if there is any great wisdom behind this. Because
bringing in the legislation.
Bringing in the legislation at this point of time. There have been provocations on maps all along from different sources, from different countries, not only Pakistan, even many other, America, China, they have all depicted India incorrectly so many times. Now, what is this occasion that we need to defend and defend it through legislation, which you cannot? In terms of technological advances today, the satellite photography can turn you around everywhere. Now, if that being the case, and we are a satellite country, we have our own satellites and we can picture, photograph any other country in any other manner we want to. I do not really understand how by just putting in this legislation, we would be able to defend against those who are distorting the boundaries of India in their maps and all that. So firstly, to begin with, I cannot understand what is the compulsion, what is the wisdom behind it.
Mr. Katju?
Look, as you said, there seem to be two objects of this legislation. The first is to try to ensure that sensitive Indian installations are not displayed. Now, I'm not quite sure if that would be possible on account of technological advances, but obviously that is a laudable objective. And that objective, if it is realized through this legislation as it finally emerges, would be, to my mind, advisable and valid. On the second point, I think that we must ensure.
Second point is about ensuring that the maps are correct.
Maps of India are shown properly in India, correctly depicted in India, and I think that needs to be ensured. But it has
there been any problem within India on that?
Well, some people feel that there's a problem, some people are sensitive about it, and I respect that sensitivity. So I feel that we need, if this legislation will assist in that process, then it is fine. However, as it is framed and on the face of it, a fine of ranging from 10 lakhs, that's the draft, 10 lakhs to 100 crores,
100 crores.
seems it sounds odd. So that is how I feel. Till now, the policy has been that maps which are brought into India, if they do not show the boundaries of India correctly, then the publications that bring these maps, because earlier it was in the print, they have to have a disclaimer that this map is not correct. Similarly, I think we also insist that any maps of, say, UN agencies, the World Bank, etc., which are in documents in India, circulated in India, and there too, if they are showing something different from the official map, then that must also contain a disclaimer. That has been the policy till now, and it seems to have worked well. But if the feeling is that you need to do something more to ensure that these objectives are achieved, I, for one, will have no objection.
Alok, you think that it is necessary?
I think a time has come, and I think without...
And especially in the context of what Professor Muni was also talking about.
Let me clarify.
No, I'll just, one second, let me finish my question. In the context of what Professor Muni also was pointing out, and many people are already pointing it out, in the context of the technological advancement, a bill like this, how effective will it be?
Yeah, let me explain that to you. Firstly, in light of technological advancement, while you cannot prevent somebody taking photograph, you can definitely prevent him from publicizing it. What the bill seeks to do is to deter people from making that picture available to others. I think this sort of
in
varied... let me come to it. Let me finish it, please. The point is that when you're talking of sensitive and security installations, what is happening is that today you cannot prevent a satellite from taking pictures. But that picture being available online, on social media, can be prevented. I think this seeks to deter websites like Google, etc., from putting those sensitive installations on their open media. That is the first thing. The second, as far as the maps are concerned, the fact of the matter is that till 80s, all Western maps used to show Aksai Chin as part of India. Now, of late, as Chinese strength grew, I think most of the Western maps, including Google, shows Aksai Chin as part of China today. Now, what we are trying to do is, I think probably the aim is to deter such global conglomerates from wrongly depicting Indian boundaries. And with the onset of internet, there has been a tendency that many Indian scholars often use these borrowed maps from international websites, which actually depict India's boundaries wrongly. So I think by installing this sort of bringing in this sort of a legislation, we would deter these people, and I think people would be a little more cautious, because very often people take these maps blindly, and this is, I think, this was counterproductive as far as India's claims to these territories.
Deterrent, that's what you're saying. It'll act as a deterrent.
I think the Indian satellite systems are also going to be up now.
Yes,
And
it's already up.
You're right, but now they are being completed.
Yes.
And with that, perhaps commercially, these such data, which will correctly depict the Indian map, will be available to scholars, and then they will be able to project it properly.
No, I would like to clarify here.
Yeah.
It is not a problem of the satellite. The satellite picks the terrain. The map has to be drawn artificially, and that is done by the people who are controlling it. See, the satellite doesn't draw a picture because there is no map drawn on the land. It's actually only taking a terrain picture, and the boundaries have to be overdrawn over it, and
But
that is done by the people who are controlling
that can
it.
be done in India with Indian data available.
we can do that.
Till
There is no
now,
doubt
that
about
data
it.
was not available to Indians.
Yes,
No, I'm afraid the canvas of the bill is a bit more wider. And it probably even takes the Google Earth kind of pictures, which can rotate an image 360 degree in order to stop it, because the argument given is that terrorists are using it. Obviously, they are using it. This cannot be denied. But by this bill,
can you stop that?
how are you going to stop it? That is my question. I'm not saying that the purpose of depicting India correctly is questionable. Nobody is arguing that. Yes, we should, and as GP said rightly, there is already an executive order in place, under which people have been punished, under which people have been cautioned. They have changed their maps. Now, having done that, how this bill is going to make an advance on the situation at present?
Let's wait for the text
No,
of the
Mr.
bill.
Parthasarathy, the details of the bill will come, but let's come to the issue of Pakistan. Pakistan complaining about it in the United Nations. Now, Pakistan says that you are showing they have been doing it. They have been complaining all along. But now that India is bringing a legislation, you think that they will have any legitimacy at the UN level for them to?
Let me tell you,
their complaint
not a
will be taken
single
seriously.
member of the UN Security Council, including China, will back this for the simple reason that it's a non-starter. One, it is a map. It is it's an action. Our domestic legislation pertaining to what we will do. The second issue is that even China is not complaining about our legislation. We have problems on Aksai Chin. They behave maturely. So I think this is, to be honest with you, and if I may be personal,
sorry. Pakistan has done it. Is China going to follow?
No, I don't think so. The other point is, if I may sound not facetious but serious, this is hyperactivism on the part of my good friend Maliha Lodi in New York, and we should bear that in mind. I'm not too concerned about this. Just yesterday, the Pakistan Foreign Secretary was in Washington, wherein the language used was settle all these issues bilaterally. Period.
But talking of settling it bilaterally, Mr. Katju, and then going to the United Nations and
No, this is what they have said.
This is typical Pakistan behavior, but it leads me to two things. First, I think the Pakistanis have decided that they will go all out to try to quote unquote internationalize J&K. It is a futile attempt because no power, no country is interested in getting involved at this stage or even in the future in matters relating to Jammu and Kashmir, apart from statements that, India and Pakistan must settle them bilaterally. So it's a futile attempt. But it leads me to another point. And I'm not quite sure whether it's Maliha Lodi, going on her own.
No.
I'm sure she is being supported.
She's a hyperactive supporter.
No, but she is being supported also, and this is what brings me.
Briefed to do that.
Yes, she has. No, she may have given the initiative, but obviously she found support within both Pindi and in the Pakistan Foreign Office.
Nawaz, you know it as well as I do. What he did during Kargil.
Yes,
he was very much a part of it.
So therefore, one has to see the pattern, and which brings me to our Pakistan policy. And this is something that our framers of our Pakistan policy must take into account. That it doesn't square with the approach of Pakistan that they want to settle, matters with India. They don't. Clearly they don't. And yet there is a section of opinion here, both in the public as well as within government, that the generals and everyone is on board in wanting to have.
Your theory.
On the face of it, it's there.
We are joined in now. We've been able to get Nusrat Amin. Nusrat Amin, how do you look at this issue from Pakistan? Pakistan complaining to the United Nations about a domestic legislation which India is trying to bring in. How and why is Pakistan concerned about this?
Well, I don't see Pakistan getting enraged or protesting against the bill to come. I guess it's only an official communique that has been sent to the United Nations that makes, at least to me, a complete sense. They have just pointed out what the UN Charter what the UN resolution says about Kashmir, showing Azad Kashmir or Pakistani administered Kashmir as part of India may not be a legal notion, I guess. So whatever has been done by the Foreign Ministry of Pakistan sounds quite legitimate to me.
But the Indian map has been there all along.
No, but he's talking about the UN resolution, Professor Muni. Do you think that they have a point there? He's talking about UN resolution.
Let me say one thing. There were 2 UN resolutions on this in 1948 which matter. both said the fundamental requirement was withdrawal of Pakistani armed forces and the withdrawal of armed jihadis and others they had trained from the, let me finish, from the entire state. That did not take place and the resolutions went under. We have the Simla agreement. We'll go by it. I don't get excited.
Yes,
about
Mr.
it.
And the
Amin.
Lahore Declaration.
And the Lahore Declaration.
Mr. Amin,
More than that, the UN Secretary General
The
has said this is a bilateral issue.
the preconditions that were mentioned in the 1948 Charter and also in Simla Agreement clearly say that plebiscite is the first precondition.
There's no such
No,
thing
there is
in
no
the Simla
provision.
Agreement.
There is no
Simla agreement
provision.
not.
There is no provision in the Simla Agreement
Simla
for plebiscite. Please read it again.
okay.
Okay, maybe
no, and nowhere
there may
plebiscite
be a
is mentioned as the
controversy or
first
dispute
condition.
over the
Yes.
Simla. But if you open up the charter of the UN Charter, you can easily read it out.
The UN resolutions are dead. The moment the Pakistanis realize it, the
withdrawal
better.
of troops and Mujahideen and nationalists entered from Pakistani side, India has also is also supposed to hold plebiscite under a
But you
plebiscite
didn't withdraw.
administration, a neutral
after withdrawal.
plebiscite administration.
But you didn't
That's
withdraw.
Something
No, is
that
it-
has never been done.
But you didn't withdraw. When Pakistan didn't withdraw, the resolutions were finished.
So, anyway, Professor Muni, is all this could have all been avoided if as you say, we just let it go, instead of bringing in a legislation or thinking of a legislation.
No, but I would say let Pakistan chant. How does it matter? It simply doesn't matter. It doesn't change the ground situation. It does not change international
No,
situation
but that is
either.
exactly the point which the Pakistanis are also saying, that you can depict whatever you want in your map, it doesn't change the ground situation.
So we are depicting only within India.
They
We
are
not
saying that,
asking Pakistan to do one
Pakistan
thing.
administered Kashmir, as they say, and Pak occupied Kashmir, which we show as part of India. They say that, you show whatever you want. That's what the Pakistan foreign minister,
No,
foreign
but the
secretary is
bill-
saying.
That's not
just a
what the
minute.
Pakistan foreign
No,
minister.
just a minute. The bill simply says that anybody violating these norms within India will be punished.
No, let me.
There is nothing beyond that.
Girish, can I clarify?
Yeah.
What the genesis of the Pakistani argument is that the Indian official map is contrary to the stand
UN.
to the UN resolutions on J&K.
Yes.
Now they seem to have woken up very late because this is the map which has been there all through. Otherwise, they should have sent a protest every day that this map is wrong, starting from 1950 or whenever. Now, why today? And your question is strange, if you permit me to say, because our domestic legislation must be governed by what the Pakistanis will fancifully
No, I am not saying
conjure
that.
up.
I am saying that this is what the Pakistanis say.
So let them say.
No,
How does it matter?
Alok Bansal, another issue which Mr. Katju himself was pointing out earlier, the United Nations shows India's map in a different way. We have accepted that fact and we have just allowed it to...
No, we haven't. We have insisted that there should be a disclaimer that this map is not authentic. And that disclaimer is always put. So please don't say that we have allowed it.
Disclaimer is fine, but the fact is that they are showing a map in a different way.
Disclaimer is part of the map.
So, my question is...
They are only showing it as disputed territory.
Right, disputed territory. Now that, my question is, if Pakistan is complaining to the UN and the UN itself says it is a disputed territory, then is there a problem which India can face? That's the question which I want to know.
But there is no problem. I think India has been depicting this map for over 6.5 decades plus. And I think Pakistan has never objected. This is our map which has been shown. And as I said, till 80s, majority of the countries of the world.
Is this the first time that Pakistan is objecting?
Yeah, this sort of an objection to Indian map is for the first time. I think-
Parthasarathy?
No, there's one other point if you permit. What does the Pakistani official map show? They show Junagadh, Manabau, Hyderabad, all that. Their map contests all that. I mean, this.
Not only that.
Jinnah's ambitions to have even Travancore, Cochin, Hyderabad,
everything
Bhopal
is there in the
never
map.
worked.
No, yes, Nusrat. Yes, Mr. Amin.
That shows Junagadh and Rampur as Pakistani territories. There has never ever been any such map ever published by any institution in Pakistan that shows these
Official
areas
maps.
mentioned by my
Please see your
brother.
official
Please
map.
see your official
Pakistani
maps.
territories.
Please see your official maps. You know, Vivek and I have dealt with your country
Two
for
high
40
commissioners
years.
are saying this.
No, no,
Your
but
official map show it.
Please see your
Still
official
show
map,
Junagadh.
Nusrat.
And in
You think I
Karachi,
haven't seen my official map?
in Karachi, the Nawab of Junagadh goes around with a car carrying the number plate Junagadh 1 with your approval.
I have learned by heart how to draw Pakistani map. I can draw it myself by pencil
I said,
and pen.
please have a look at your
I know
official
that.
maps. That's
Have a
all
look
that
at
I'm
your
urging
official
you.
maps.
Way far from Pakistan's western borders, Pakistan's southern borders.
Have a
Okay,
look at-
so you are saying that.
I can easily point out in India where Junagadh is
So you are
located.
saying that in Pakistan, Pakistan does not claim Junagadh as part of its territory.
Of course, my dear.
Yes.
Says who that Junagadh is in Pakistan. What you are talking about, my friend?
Okay, Mr. Katju, please react to this.
No, but please, all that I will respectfully urge you is to look at the official maps that are published by your official agencies.
Okay,
And then see.
we will let that aside because we'll let that aside because that is not the issue.
Isn't that?
No, absolutely. Junagadh, Hyderabad, earlier on even Bhopal.
Earlier on.
Anyway, we'll keep that aside because that is not the issue which we are discussing now. No, but as far as the bill is concerned, Professor Muni, there's also there's a commercial aspect to this. The first what you were saying about how far this will be, you'll be able to actually implement all these provisions of the bill. There's a serious problem as far as the commercial aspect of it is concerned, because even taxis like Uber and all of them are using, all kinds of people use the maps. So there may be a problem there.
No, they may be asked to use the maps which are, I hopefully, Indian satellites would provide now, hopefully. But the problem is much more complicated to my mind. Let us take Google. I think a 100 crore fine is obviously keeping the corporates in mind.
Yeah. Maybe Google in mind.
Maybe Google or anybody. Now, if Google uploads, say, an article or a map of the State Department or from Beijing, which is incorrectly depicting Indian boundaries, now who you are going to sue? Are you going to sue Google, or you are going to sue the State Department, or the Chinese? This is where the implementation would run into problems. And I find it is extremely difficult. And what is it? Why the government should be devoting most of its energies on issues like this?
Yes, Mr. Pasha.
May I add one thing? A bill like this will invariably go to a select committee, and that will the thorough analysis of all that we are talking will take place in the select committee. Let's see where it goes from there.
Alok?
No, it's a question of idea, GP. The idea behind it, that this is how we will define.
We have not read the fine print and we are jumping to conclusions.
No, but these are serious.
To prevent Indians from depicting
within India,
yeah.
there are serious concerns being expressed about the bill from people
I think only a certain section of the media is showing
not
concern.
media. This is not the media. This, there are people who are concerned, who are commercial, whose commercial interests may get affected. That's what is being
How
said.
does commercial interest get affected? Let me tell you,
Yes.
a taxi driver who uses a GPS doesn't use an India map. He uses a local Delhi map or something. Secondly, please understand, today India has the capacity to actually provide a GPS picture. What India is trying to do is to deter Google from showing Indian boundaries on his map, and they can change it. I think
my question is
pressure would force Google, at least to the map that they are beaming into India, they would change their GPS positions and show the India's correct map as depicted by Indian Constitution.
So we will be able to deter these things as far as what we see in India is concerned. But what is seen outside India, this bill will have no control over.
We have got no reasons to be. And Indian government's laws actually are applicable within the geographical boundaries of India. Indian laws are not applicable outside Indian boundaries.
But what happens to the internet? What we see on the internet. How much are you going to control?
No, that is where the problem is, that whatever they are beaming into India, they will show those maps, correct maps, and they used to do it earlier. In fact, when my Windows had come, they had come with an explicit understanding that they will depict the correct map of India into this. And I think Windows are still doing it. But Google Maps unfortunately is not doing so. And I think with this pressure, they would do so.
You think, Mr. Parthasarathy, this pressure would work at an international level? And again, I'm coming back to the issue of technology.
Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, what they publish abroad doesn't bother me. The fact is that even if you don't stop an odd map or two and you can't do it, no big shakes. But you are sending a clear political message. Don't mess around with us. Now, whether this message will work or not, I can't say. Let me, as I said, I would wait because this bill will have to go to a joint select committee.
Will that message work?
Look, I'm as far as the punitive aspects are concerned, it might there might be a rethink. But as far as the bill itself is concerned, I think no party will want to appear to be anti-national, because there is a very sensitive national issue, and since it's been put on the table, I think everyone will fall in line, even if the bill goes to the select committee, because its objects are that the Indian territory should be shown correctly. Now, will it work? Abroad, I think it's unlikely. But there may be attempts on the part of the multinationals because the Indian economy is large, it's growing, etc., to make adjustments. Now, if that is the object of the bill and it is achieved, it's fine.
Mr. Muni, very quickly.
I'm only saying that
will it deter? Will it act as a deterrent?
I said even as Alok and Vivek are saying that it may deter some of the corporates for their own commercial interests to work in India, well and good enough. But what have you achieved out of these efforts? Select committee GP is talking about. Would you have wasted a lot of time of the MPs and others on debating something which at the end of it is not so viable and not so compelling and urgent? I don't understand. I don't see a great wisdom behind this.
I think
you can justify it.
Look, I think
you can justify it in one way or the other. But what is the wisdom? What is the drive? What is the compulsion to go in for this kind of an act? What is the offensive against you which has taken place recently?
Pathankot is one of the things which have been...
Pathankot is Google Earth Maps, which I don't know if you can stop it in any other country sitting.
I think it is an assertion of sovereignty.
Okay, sir.
No, you can't have an objection with that.
Oh, we are mature enough here. We don't need this assertion at this time.
Okay, I think on that note, on that controversial note, this obviously it's already become controversial. But we'll wait and watch. As Mr. Parthasarathy rightly says, that once the bill comes to the Parliament, once it goes before the Joint Select Committee, then there will be much more discussion and more clarity will come into this. But this is an issue which obviously at an international level, India needs to be clear and also counter some of the measures which are being taken by Pakistan. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue, the big picture, same time.